Before I forget, you dropped this when you landed.
Thanks.
Everyone makes decisions in life, but our decisions ultimately define us. A hero doesn't need to speak. The world will speak for him when he is no longer here. Welcome back, everyone. Today, we're here to show you some amazing horror video games with stunning surprise endings. Let's get started. Nothing beats a game, movie, or book that keeps you captivated and utterly involved from the beginning to the end, only to completely surprise you in the final moments. Surprise endings are one of the most thrilling ways to keep a story continuing as long as they are done effectively. Yet, there are certainly some surprise endings that fall flat. Number 10. Stalker Mode Braid. You should presume that the protagonist is also the hero in most games. In Mario-style platforming games like Braid, this assumption is even easier to make. The player assumes the role of Tim, who is on a quest to save the princess from a monster in the game. Isn't that something you've heard of before? But in the end, it's revealed that the princess is actually attempting to flee from Tim, the game's true monster. Playing Braid again will reveal even more details about what's going on in this genre-defying masterpiece. Number 9. Cry of Fear. It was all in his head. Cry of Fear begins with protagonist Simon waking up after being run over by a car in a bleak, gloomy Sweden. He quickly realizes he's in the wrong section of town where terrifying, twisted monsters lurk around every turn. Simon meets Sophie, a childhood best friend and crush who eventually turns out to be a disloyal doctor. As his quest progresses, there are a couple of various ways the conclusion might play out depending on how you play. The primary revelation is that Simon's entire journey through the monster-infested town was a product of his imagination. Simon got extremely unhappy after suffering life-changing injuries in a car accident years ago and, on the recommendation of his therapist, began writing a book about his tragedies. The Simon we've been playing is a fictional character from the books, but Sophie and the Doctor are genuine individuals from his life. Number 8 is The Sinking City. You were invited by an evil deity. Now we have The Sinking City, which is a Lovecraftian horror film. Since the battle, our protagonist, Charles Winfield Reed, has been plagued by terrifying visions and dreams. He is invited to visit Oakmont by Johannes van der Berg, an intellectual in the town. It appears that he is not alone in his illness, and most of them are in Oakmont. Reed goes along, eager to get rid of his problems, and is recruited by a local to investigate the origin of a major flood that wreaked havoc on the town. As he uncovers the town's and the residents' dark secrets, it becomes clear that the flood is the consequence of a diabolical scheme rather than faulty city planning. Hastur, a colleague of the horrific entity Thulhu, is revealed to be Johannes van der Berg, the man who first invited him. Reed was invited because he was seen as one of the probable selected ones for a ceremony to reincarnate Thulu in his visions. What he had imagined would be a location where he could go to get better was actually a setup to usher in the apocalypse. Number 7. Brainwashed Bioshock. In Bioshock, the player assumes the position of Jack, a plane crash survivor who stumbles onto the underwater city of Rapture, which was developed into anarchy as the developers' intentions spiral out of control. Throughout the game, a man named Atlas gives Jack radio instructions to achieve various missions. Because Atlas is important in keeping Jack alive, the player instinctively obeys his directions. However, it is disclosed at the climax of Bioshock that Jack has been brainwashed, and whenever Atlas begins a command with "would you kindly," Jack is obliged to obey. And you believe you were playing the game deliberately the entire time. Number 6. Darth Revan, Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic. When the Star Wars prequel trilogy presented the narrative of Anakin Skywalker, a young Jedi who would later join the Sith. To say the least, the character arc was unsurprising. However, this Star Wars game from 2003 told a considerably more effective version of the same scenario. Throughout Knights of the Old Republic, players could choose between the light and dark sides. However, when it is disclosed that their character is Darth Revan, a Sith who has been brainwashed by the Jedi, they are shocked. The twist is stunning, regardless of whatever side of the Force the players elected to support. Number 5. Dead Space. Nicole is dead and Kendra is a traitor. Dead Space follows the crew of the maintenance ship Kellyan as they arrive on Aegis 7, a planet devastated by a virus that reanimates dead and transforms them into zombie-like monsters known as necromorphs. Isaac, the protagonist, wants to know what happened to his girlfriend Nicole, who was stationed there on another ship. The alien Marker, whose attempted weaponization caused the necromorph virus, is revealed to be the home of Aegis 7. The biggest problem is deciding what to do with this Marker. which was previously purchased on Nicole's ship and indirectly killed everyone on board. Isaac intended to place the marker on Aegis 7, but Kendra is the one who starts the first of our major revelations. Isaac is able to resist Kendra's tries to steal the marker with Nicole's help, only for her to deliver another truth bomb. Nicole, she confesses, has been dead all along. The Nicole that Isaac has been witnessing, communicating with, or even defending from necromorphs has been a delusion. Number 4. The Cure, The Last of Us. In The Last of Us, the player assumes the role of Joel, who, after losing his own daughter at the onset of the apocalypse years previously, is forced to journey cross-country with a teen girl named Ellie. Joel must deliver Ellie to the scientist who can save the world because she is supposed to be the cure for the sickness that has destroyed the world. When Joel learns that finding the solution will cost Ellie her life, he can't take the thought of losing another person. He lies to Ellie in order to keep her at his side, and in the process, he destroys the world's final hope. Number 3. Mad by Guilt, Silent Hill 2. Many players may have assumed they knew where Silent Hill 2 was going after watching the first in 1999. Despite taking place in the same scary town as the original game, Silent Hill 2 was not a direct sequel. Instead, it focused on James Sutherland, a guy who travels to the enigmatic village after receiving a letter from his late wife. The game's monsters may appear to be alive, but at the end of the story, you'll find that they're actually a manifestation of James's remorse, and he was the one who killed his wife. Number 2. Assassin's Creed 3. Another example of the good person is actually the bad guy cliché may be found in Assassin's Creed 3. While the majority of the game is around assassin Connor Kenway and his battle to free the 13 colonies from British rule, Haytham Kenway is featured in the first part. As he completes various duties while seeking a Templar temple in the colonies, the player is led to assume that Haytham is an assassin. Suddenly, Haytham has shown to be a Templar himself, and not just any Templar. He is, in fact, the game's main enemy. And number 1. Double-crossed Red Dead Redemption. The plot of Red Dead Redemption is straightforward at first. Former outlaw John Marston is apprehended by the Bureau of Investigation and told that if he wants to see his family again, he must dispatch the surviving members of his old gang. As a result, Marston begins to eliminate his former outlaw pals one by one. When he succeeds, he returns to his family, but the Bureau arrives and completes the job by double-crossing Marston. The player assumes the role of John's son, who sets out on a mission to avenge his father after the protagonist has died. There's nothing quite like believing you've got it all figured out just to have your confidence taken away and rubbed ruthlessly in your face at the end of a game. A dramatic twist at the conclusion isn't required for a satisfying game experience. Sometimes it can be just as satisfying to work things out and reach a resolution or even a cliffhanger. Now, not all twists are made equal. Some merely muddle the game's story, leaving you delusioned and frustrated. Let us know what you think in the comments area below. I hope you enjoyed the video, and please share your favorite horror video game that shocked you the most.